The poison is common knowledge to anyone who bothered to prepare. He fires back, since one is exploiting an enemy's weakness considered unfair. After all, battles are won with strategy. Watching from a distance, Fra and the others finally begin to understand. They're seeing the true scale of Chinese power. Fra is stunned, countless parties have been wiped out by this thing. And yet here is Jfrey fighting it alone on equal footing. You and I are watching a one-man raid. He quickly calculates the poison's effect. Hellos has about 5 minutes left to live. Enraged by his confidence, the demon unleashes a far stronger attack. A supercharged scorching heat wave. The sheer heat slams into Arthur and the others. They cry out in pain as the air itself feels like it's burning their skin. Arthur realizes the danger, shouting that he can't get any closer to help. Fra makes the call, ordering the group to fall back to a safer distance. As the heat intensifies, Arthur reluctantly pulls back, frustrated and feeling useless. He looks back to see Helber furious and relentless. But Jfrey is still standing his ground, defiant, as the demon unleashes its fire breath. The team braces for the worst, but to their absolute amazement, Jfrey emerges completely unscathed. He pauses, carefully thinking the situation through. This attack pattern is different from the one he knew in the game. He speculates this powerful fire breath might be a special first-time boss move. Hellos continues its tantrum, accusing Jfrey of using some kind of magic detection. Jfrey, completely unfazed, dismisses it as an excuse from a sore loser. His response only makes the demon even more furious. The left head comments that even if Jfrey can predict their moves, it won't matter. The third head asks if he can handle an attack from all three of them. An attack from all three at once, the center head suggests that assault would be the one to decide everything. The ground trembles violently. Hello's three heads begin to pull apart from each other, forming three separate bodies. Three independent monsters. Arthur and Fra can only watch in disbelief. The transformation completes. Jfrey is just as stunned as they are. And here's why you and I should be worried. This new development, it was never in the game. The three bodies leap away, diving into the magma and vanishing from sight. Jfrey knows he can use magic perception to track their movements. But fighting off three coordinated, simultaneous attacks is a whole different ballgame. His thoughts are cut short by a taunting voice emerging from right behind him. One of the bodies lunges with its claws. Jfrey spins, dodging just in the nick of time. But his health was critical. He knew one wrong move and it was game over. Just then the left body lunged at him with a vicious strike. He dodged, but barely. And honestly, he was starting to enjoy the pure chaos of this insane situation. Now here's where it gets wild. The demon splits into three, taunting Jfrey. It promises that his friends are next, so he won't have to die alone. The right body lunges, jaws wide open, going straight for the kill. But before it hits, Fra jumps in, unleashing her frost explosion skill. The attack freezes solid. Stepping up, Fra looks absolutely disgusted. She calls them out on the 3-versus-1 fight, clearly taking offense. And she is not happy about being called dead weight. The demon is furious. It turns on her, launching a ferocious attack. Fra doesn't even flinch. But before it connects, Jfrey's centipede weapon slices through the air. One clean strike and the right head is completely severed. It crashes to the ground, lifeless. Jfrey turns to the other two with a smirk. Let's be real, you and I both know this changes everything. The fight is finally even. The team stares at the demon's lifeless head, hardly believing it. Confirmation it's really dead. Tears of relief start to fall. Jfrey, meanwhile, is panting, completely exhausted but steeling himself. Two heads left, that's all he has to focus on. But then, without warning, Helbero is right behind him, claws slashing furiously. It screams, demanding to know how he dared kill one of its brothers. At the same time, the left body goes for Fra, aiming to tear her apart. They both manage to block, but the sheer force leaves them shaken. Jfrey quickly asks Fra about her ice magic. She admits it's not her strong suit. She's a fire mage first and foremost. Her ice affinity just isn't that high. So he asks the obvious question, how is she handling this insane heat wave? Turns out she's been using temporary buffs to survive the scorching heat. But they're a quick fix and her time is running out fast. He tells her to hang on, and trust me, you're going to want to see this. Jfrey activates Godspeed, leaping behind the central body for a massive slash. Then in one fluid motion he pivots midair, dashing straight toward Fra. She's barely holding off the left body. He strikes, hitting its weak point with precision. He triggers Mind's Eye, multiplying the damage by 3, a huge gamble. It's a fatal blow, system confirms. Hello's left body is officially down. Jfrey looks back, the poison is still draining the last head's health. That'll make the final showdown easier, but it dives back into the magma. Gone before he could land the finishing blow, he turns to Fra. He tells her it should be fine now and that she needs to get to cover. She hears him but moves closer anyway, insisting she can still help. She casts the Sunflame buff on him and the system window pops up. It's a temporary boost to attack power, fire resistance, and it stacks. Jfrey feels a rush of new strength, his fire resistance skyrockets. He's actually surprised by how potent the buff is. Fra explains why. The condition, while the spell is active, she can't use any magic at all. And with that, she retreats to safety, leaving it all up to him now. Alright, let's jump into the end of this insane fight, as Jfrey nods, calling her Flame Magician. Meanwhile, deep inside the volcano, Hellbarrow is stewing in the magma, absolutely seething. While it tries to recover, the demon just can't believe what's happening. Beaten this badly by a mere human, it swears revenge, vowing to tear them all to shreds once its strength finally returns, but its thoughts are cut short. Jfrey's voice echoes from above, taunting the demon for being so slow. He even asks if it's getting tired of their little game of whack-a-mole. Before Hellbarrow can even think of a comeback, Jfrey appears right in front of it. Smirking, "Now check this out," Hellbarrow is just frozen in pure shock. How could a human be here in the heart of a volcano? Confusion quickly turns to fear. Especially when Jfrey gestures dismissively like he's brushing away a fly, Hellbarrow starts sweating. The demon is paralyzed by this impossible situation. Jfrey then raises his weapon. The centipede, and he strikes again and again. Hellbarrow can't do a thing. Nothing but despair as it realizes a demon god is being killed by a single human. As Hellbarrow falls, the volcano overflows with lava, causing a panic among the team. They think it's erupting, but Frey quickly reassures them that it's not. And just then, Arthur spots Jfrey climbing out of the crater. He rushes to his side, worried about his condition, with the others right behind him. They all gather around, asking if the battle's really over and calling for healing potions. Jfrey calmly confirms it, the demon god is dead. Realizing this, Arthur turns to Frey with tears in his eyes, and she's just as emotional. She says that with Hellbarrow gone, their father can finally rest in peace. Moments later, a system notification pops up for the whole team. They've successfully taken down Hellbarrow, a level 50 demon god, earning rewards and XP. And you know what that means, right? Loot time. Jfrey sees he's gained 800,000 gold. He jokes to himself that his mom is going to be shocked when she receives that. The system then reveals his loot drops: Hellbarrow's Hard Claw, a rarity S item, and Hunger Fang, a rarity A. He's impressed, but he knows neither of these is what he truly wanted. Frey, humbled, isn't sure how to properly thank him. Arthur adds that without Jfrey they wouldn't have survived, let alone even reach the summit. Jfrey just dismisses all the formal gratitude. He points out that their efforts helped too. Frey notes that even though they mostly just tagged along, the system still counted their participation. So she was able to get some demon god materials as drops, but Jfrey says she earned them. He praises her for that final buff, saying it was a huge help. Frey modestly replies he probably would have one anyway, but she sighs. The best reward she received was just a B-rank scorching rock, and at that, Jfrey freezes. He's absolutely stunned. He asks if she would trade that scorching rock for his S-rank item, the Hard Claw, an offer that leaves both Frey and Arthur completely speechless. Frey asks if he even understands the value of the claw. It's known as the highest rank material on the entire continent. Jfrey replies the scorching rock is more valuable. At least far more valuable to him. Frey finally agrees, telling him to just take it. No trade necessary. Overjoyed, Jfrey confirms one more time before happily adding the item to his inventory. As Frey watches him celebrate, she notes with amusement that she can't read him at all as he raises the prize. And you and I know this guy is different. A soft smile plays on her lips and right on cue, a system window pops up. Okay, you and I have to see this. It says Fra has developed a slight crush on Jfrey. But then comes a warning, Jeddas has a strong crush on Fra. Sensing a messy love triangle brewing, Jfrey decides it's time to make a quick exit. With the scorching rock safely stashed in his inventory, Jfrey looks to his next move. His destination, the second continent, a place ominously known as the Town of Desires. But back in the city of Rue, Fra runs up to him one last time. She lets Jfrey know that she and Arthur are heading back to their hometown for a bit. With their father gone, they've got business to handle, but she promises they'll meet again. Arthur, full of fire, vows that the next time they see each other, he'll be way stronger than Jfrey. Then he gives his heartfelt thanks for everything. Jfrey just smirks back, saying he's looking forward to it. As he walks off, Jfrey waves goodbye, his mind already on the prize. The scorching rock, he finally has the one material he needed from this continent. And his memories from his past life prove to be the key to getting it. He feels a rush of gratitude for all the new friends and experiences he's gained. The money for his family has been sent, now it's time for his next goal. And just like that, we're on to the next chapter as he heads for the teleportation portal. He's about to leave the first continent and step into the world of the second. As Jfrey approaches the portal, he overhears two guys talking about him. One guy points him out, asking if that's the hero who took down the demon god. His friend just scoffs, gesturing at Jfrey's gear, which looks like total trash. Just beginner equipment for a compounder. No way he could have pulled off a feat like that. But at that exact moment, a system notification appears only for Jfrey. It confirms his title as the first demon god's slayer and tells him to proceed. Jfrey clicks confirm and the massive portal roars to life. He disappears into the stream of light, and one of the onlookers is left speechless. The guy exclaims that Jfrey just teleported, but his friend just shrugs. You're probably just seeing things, he says. Meanwhile, Jfrey reappears in a new city. Welcome to the central hub of the second continent, the Prison of Desire. A place people call Second Life. As he takes in the new sights, the system dings again. This time it's an alert for a missed call. Checking the notification, he sees who it is. It's from his younger sister, Amelia. He quickly calls her back, wondering what's up. Before he can even say hello, Amelia is demanding answers. Why did he send so much money? Where is he? What is he doing? Her voice is frantic. Her panic tone startles him as she asks if he's doing something illegal. Jfrey calmly reassures her that he's not involved in anything shady at all. He's careful, though, not to mention his new life as an adventurer. He deliberately kept that a secret from his mom and sister to keep them from worrying. Amelia finally calms down a bit, reminds him to be careful, and then she drops an absolute bombshell. Their mother's condition has gotten worse. And let that sink in for a second. The news hits Jfrey like a physical blow. He collapses onto a nearby bench, grappling with the sudden heavy news. He realizes he needs more money, a lot more money, as fast as possible for her treatment. But as he worries, his spiraling thoughts are cut short by a nearby conversation. All right, let's watch how a desperate man with a plan can flip the entire game on its head. He overhears a mention of an elf's tear up for sale. The name immediately clicks. Jfrey knows it's a super rare ingredient for making a legendary elixir. An elixir that can cure almost anything, and could be the one thing to save his mother. High elf's tears are almost myths, especially on the desolate second continent. Just finding one here is a miracle, but getting it won't be easy. Jfrey knows the auction will be a battlefield for the ultra-rich. The price is going to skyrocket into the hundreds of millions, guaranteed. But despite the insane odds, Jfrey is ready to risk it all. No matter the cost, that tier will be his first step, get more cash. By any means necessary, so Jfrey heads to the Atani snowfield. An E-rank dungeon on the second continent, not exactly a big money zone. He knows higher rank dungeons would pay more, but he's not here just for cash. The Atani snowfield holds a very specific and unique opportunity for him. That guy is here, he smiles, spotting the Kate Sith, a level 66 creature. He pulls a carefully saved leaf from his inventory. Pay attention to this part. Jfrey waves it right in front of the creature, showing off the items he brought. The Kate Sith's eyes go wide with excitement as it sees the offering. A snowfield, silver vine, warm grass, and cold fish, all laid out perfectly. He points to the warm grass, explaining it's a cozy bed made just for it. The creature can't resist, letting out a happy yowl and taking the gifts. In its excitement, the Kate Sith drops a single, shining golden coin. An A-rank item, Jfrey picks it up knowing exactly what it is. It's a fortune-boosting artifact that literally doubles any money he earns while holding it. He thanks the creature and leaves it to enjoy its new treasures. He reflects on the golden coin, what an absolutely incredible trade-off. It's a hidden item you can only get by perfectly appeasing the Kate Sith. With this new advantage, he's ready to start hunting for real. And Jfrey's hunt pays off big time, yielding some serious rewards. Monsters worth 8,650 gold, 2 for 152,000 and 1 for over 1 million. And with the golden coin doubling every single bit, the cash floods in. After taking down the dungeon boss, he checks his balance, and wow. His total has jumped to 12,664,000 gold. Okay, so he's got the seed money. Time to head back to the city for his next move. A little while later, Jfrey walks into the second club, a notorious underground casino. This place is famous for one thing, its patrons' absolute obsession with money. There are no rules, no class, no fairness, a dark zone where anything goes. And for Jfrey, that lack of rules is exactly what he's looking for. As he heads deeper inside, loud laughter catches his attention. A bald man is shouting about his victory, boasting about his unbelievable luck. The man, whose name is apparently In, is yelling that his fortune has turned. He shouts to the whole room that he absolutely cannot lose today. Jfrey activates his detect falsehood skill and sees the hidden truth. In has already raked in 10.22 million gold through pure cheating. And just like that, Jfrey has his next target, the perfect whale. Alright, let's watch our main character walk straight into a shark tank. Enel sizes him up, asking if Jfrey's his next challenger, then smugly warns him not to run when he starts losing. He claims luck is completely on his side. Jfrey just fakes innocence, laughing, and asks Enel to go easy on him since it's his first time here. Enel and the dealer share a quick nod. They clearly see Jfrey as easy money. Enel assures him the game is just simple roulette, even letting Jfrey go second. He says Jfrey can set the bet since he's been winning so much. But then a familiar skill activates, and you already know what this means. The dealer intends to cheat, it hits him, the dealer and Enel are a team. Jfrey just feels a rush of amusement. To him, this whole place is just as entertaining as ever. He goes over the rules for roulette in his head. The dealer throws 2 balls onto the wheel. And each player calls out 2 numbers. Guess one right, you win half your bet. Guess both numbers correctly, the payout doubles. If nobody gets it right, the bets just carry over to the next round. Oh, and players can't call the same numbers twice. After Enel's explanation, he tells Jfrey to name his numbers and put down his bet. Without a second thought, Jfrey calls red 36 and black 8, betting 10 million gold. That declaration leaves both Enel and the dealer absolutely speechless. Jfrey, pretending to be confused, just repeats his numbers and the bet amount. Then he reminds Enel to call his own numbers and quickly. If the ball stops before Enel makes a call, he loses automatically. Jfrey adds just enough pressure to make his opponent sweat, smiling the whole time. Deep down, he knows Enel can't handle the kind of stakes he just set. The dealer is frozen solid, totally stunned by Jfrey's bet. He can't figure out how he could have possibly guessed where the balls would land. Jfrey keeps the pressure on, telling Enel to hurry up before the balls stop spinning completely. Enel leans over to the dealer, whispering frantically, telling him to just hurry and give him the winning numbers. The dealer just sighs, completely frustrated. But thanks to Lucifer's halo, Jfrey sees right through the whole setup. He knows the dealer's job class is Hunter, and that he's using a skill called Sniping Eye, which has a 100% accuracy rate. The ball slows and stops. It lands on red 36 and black 8. Exactly what Jfrey called, gasps echo through the crowd. Everyone just stares at him, completely shocked. Jfrey stays cool, casually remarking that it looks like luck is on his side tonight. Jfrey had already figured out their whole system. The dealer activates Sniping Eye to lock in the numbers, throws the balls with absolute precision, and then secretly tells his buddy what the winning numbers are. The strategy seems perfect. But Jfrey found its one critical flaw. Once Sniping Eye is activated, the target numbers can't be changed. Enel, absolutely furious, starts screaming about cheating and demands to see the manager. The manager rushes over immediately. Enel points a finger right at Jfrey, accusing him of cheating in front of everyone. The manager turns to Jfrey, looking totally amazed by his win, admitting that hitting a double call on a bet that huge is just unheard of. Extraordinary but not impossible. The manager then suggests they step outside for a word. Jfrey stays silent. You and I both know this isn't just a friendly chat. He can already tell the manager is dirty, and this talk is about to get hostile. And just like that, the friendly mask drops as the manager orders his men forward. They charge, but Jfrey just flips the whole table into their path. A perfect move that momentarily stops their advance in its tracks. One of the goons circles around, sneering at him for being just a kid. Big mistake. Jfrey dodges effortlessly and drops him with a single, precise strike to the neck. Knocked out cold, the other guys just freeze, totally shocked by the display. The dealer, getting his nerve back, draws a bow and aims right at Jfrey. At the same time, another thug lunges from behind with a knife. Jfrey sidesteps and launches a devastating kick, sending the knife guy flying into the dealer. The shot goes wild, and both of them collapse in a pathetic heap on the floor. Jfrey turns to the rest of them, so he asks, anyone else want a turn? The manager curses, realizing this kid is far more dangerous than he ever imagined. That's when his assistant, pale as a ghost, whispers something that stops him cold. The manager demands to know what he said. The assistant explains Jfrey's description. It perfectly matches the rookie who was all over the news the day before. The one who shattered the baptism ritual record, a total monster. And here's where it all clicks. The manager's entire world just came crashing down. Another henchman realizes something even worse and says it out loud. For Jfrey to be here, on the second continent, means he already defeated the demon god Hell Barrows. The room goes dead silent. Absolute panic starts to creep in. Jfrey, just casually cleaning out his ear, asks if they're gonna throw him out or what. Suddenly, the manager drops to the ground, bowing and screaming an apology. The complete 180 leaves Jfrey a little confused as the manager grovels. He insists they never would have accused someone of his level of cheating. In his head, the manager is freaking out. He knows if the rumors are true, they are so dead. But he has one last gamble. Jfrey is still young, maybe he can be reasoned with. So he decides to play the humble card and minimize his losses. The manager loudly proclaims how sorry they are, offering anything to make amends. Jfrey just gives a faint smile. His reply, he wants all the money in the casino. The sheer audacity of that demand shocks everyone in the room, especially the manager. But before he can even argue, Jfrey adds that he also wants an auction invitation. The manager's jaw hits the floor, but Jfrey calmly tells him to consider it hush money. He tells the manager to send over his account details. Jfrey then stands up. He lays out the options: refuse, and he'll either report them to public security, or he'll just fight his way through the entire casino all over again. The terrified manager immediately agrees to absolutely everything. Smart move. The next morning, Jfrey arrives at the Second Life Central Auction Hall. He checks his balance, 570 million gold, not bad for a night's work. It'll have to be enough. He can't risk missing out on the High Elves tier. That kind of item is rare, and there's no telling when it'll show up again. Using the invitation he persuaded the manager to give him, Jfrey walks right in. And that's our cue. All that's left is to outbid everyone for the prize he came for. Meanwhile, over at the second club, the establishment was completely empty. The manager just sat in his office seething. He cursed Jfrey for taking everything. But his rage was cut short by the sound of approaching footsteps. He turns, startled, to see the branch master walking right into his office. Back at the auction hall, the host greets the crowd, thanking them for waiting. And with that, the auction is officially underway. Let's see what's on the menu. A total of 11 items are up for grabs, a lot of them incredibly rare. The host reminds everyone that all the details on each item can be found right there in their status window. Starting with item number 1, the orcish sword, a decorative piece. You can't actually equip it, but it's a huge prize for collectors. Jfrey mentally goes over his shopping list. He needs an elixir for his mother. For that he needs three things: the High Elf's Tear, the Ice Chimera's Fang, and ancient red clay. He knows the tear usually only drops in a hidden dungeon on the sixth continent, and the other two are from demon god dungeons. But by some miracle, all three are here at this auction tonight. This could save him a massive amount of time and effort. He can't help but smile. Now he can focus completely on getting ready for the demon god fights. But as he's looking through the catalog, another item catches his eye. Qinglong wine, a key ingredient for crafting hidden equipment. If he can get his hands on it, he can make the item way ahead of schedule. The auction moves on, and at item number 5, the host unveils it. The Ice Chimera's Fang, a rare drop, he explains. From a monster in the S-rank dungeon on the second continent. Bidding starts now. 500,000 gold. Jfrey immediately bids 1 million. But then the room gasps when a voice fires back with 10 million gold. And yeah, we all know who it is. Jfrey turns and sees him, the manager staring him down with pure hatred. The look in his eyes says it all. He has zero intention of letting Jfrey win. Jfrey grinds his teeth. The manager clearly kept some of the casino's cash for himself. Now pay attention, because this is where the mind games begin. He knows the High Elf's Tear will probably be one of the last items, so saving his money is critical. The host slams the gavel. The Ice Chimera's Fang is sold to the Wind Snake Guild for 10 million gold. Whispers erupt through the hall. Everyone knows that guild. If the Wind Snake Guild wants something, they always get it. Jfrey knew about the manager's connection from reading his mind, but he had no idea the guild was this huge. Their influence apparently stretches across all 7 continents. Elsewhere, the branch master asks the manager just who this Jfrey character is. The manager confirms everything. He's the punk who caused a scene at their casino, stole their money, then had the gall to use their auction ticket publicly. The branch master agrees. This insult cannot be ignored. He tells the manager to teach Jfrey a brutal lesson, to show him what happens when you challenge the guild that runs this city. Entry number 7, the ancient red clay, is brought to the stage. The host explains it's another rare S-rank dungeon item from the third continent. Jfrey bids 50 million gold, but you and I both know the Wind Snake Guild is about to counter. He counters with 200 million gold, shocking everyone in the room as Jfrey grimaces. He knows the guild's financial resources are on a whole different level than his. The manager's mocking laughter fills the air, absolutely dripping with malice. And that's when the system confirms it. The guild plans to interfere with every single one of his bids. This is pure revenge. He knows if he fails to get the High Elf's Tear here, he'll be forced to take extreme measures to find it somewhere else. So Jfrey switches up his strategy, placing smaller bids on totally unrelated items. The goal: to bait the guild into wasting all their money. He bids 40 million for a mermaid scale. The Wind Snake Guild immediately bites, raising it to 50 million. He bids 15 million. For a blood murderer's knife, and the guild counters with 20. When he bids 200 million for Qinglong wine, the guild jacks it up to 300 million. The host remarks on the insane rivalry, noting the auction has become a one-on-one battle. The crowd starts murmuring, wondering if this guy, the customer with the angel halo, can actually compete with a massive guild's cash. The manager, feeling invincible with his guild's deep pockets, just laughs out loud. He mocks Jfrey, calling him a fool for even trying to outbid them. He swears he's going to take every single thing Jfrey wants. Jfrey just feigns frustration. He grinds his teeth, acting defeated, but look closer, inwardly he's smirking, knowing who the real fools are. The host announces they're moving on to the final item of the auction. He describes the item as sacred, mysterious, and even calls it the most beautiful droplet in the entire world. With total reverence, the host presents entry number 11, the High Elf's Tear. He announces the starting bid at a steep 50 million gold. Without a single moment of hesitation, Jfrey places a staggering first bid. 500 million gold. Yeah, you heard me right, the whole room is stunned. You can hear gasps ripple through the hall as everyone tries to process that insane number. Most of them know they have zero chance of competing and just resign to watching. Jfrey smiles confidently, absolutely determined not to let this prize slip away. He waits for the counterbid, and a furious voice suddenly shatters the silence. The manager accuses him of finally getting serious, but screams that it won't matter. He yells that they'll simply double whatever he bids. And just like that, the manager raises the stakes to 1 billion gold. But before the host can even finalize the bid, a red mark appears over the Winged Snake Guild's entry. The host hesitates, then makes an announcement that shocks the entire room. The Winged Snake Guild representatives are disqualified from bidding on this item. The manager freezes solid, trying to process what just happened. The host apologizes, explaining that they've reached their maximum successful bid limit. The manager demands to know what that means, and the host lays it all out. The auction regulations allow a single bidder to win a maximum of 5 items. It's a rule to prevent one group from monopolizing all the rare goods. Since the guild already secured 5 items, they are officially prohibited from bidding anymore. The manager stammers before exploding with rage, screaming that he's a regular and has never heard of such a rule. Jfrey, meanwhile, can't suppress a smirk. Trust me, this was the trap all along. He knew this was no ordinary auction. It was a special one approved by the Adventurers Association. And that strict rule against one group buying everything, that was one of its unique hidden features. Even in the game, this little detail had always been super obscure. Alright, you and I are jumping right into the drama. A public announcement just dropped. And Jfrey can't help but mockingly stick his tongue out at the manager. He's laughing on the inside at how clueless this guy was, the unusual lineup of rare items. That should have been a massive red flag, but the manager completely missed it. The host, ever the professional, asks the manager if he understands the new rules. The manager is just shaking with fury, completely speechless. But the branch master beside him, cool as a cucumber, just watching everything unfold. The host declares the auction officially closed, congratulating Mr. Customer. That's Jfrey, of course, the new owner of the High Elf's tier. For 500 million gold, the entire hall erupts in applause. They're not just clapping for the winning bid, they're clapping for the guy who just humiliated the all-powerful Winged Snake Guild. Jfrey, ever so calm, asks the host to please not call him by that nickname from now on. The manager, though, he finally snaps. His anger boils over as he starts screaming accusations at Jfrey, demanding to know if he knew about the rules this entire time. When Jfrey just gives him that calm, silent stare, the manager's rage explodes. He bellows that he let Jfrey go at the casino, but this time there will be no mercy. And here we go, he raises his hand, summoning a ball of pure destructive energy. Jfrey is on his feet in an instant, shouting for the manager to take this outside. He points to the crowd, reminding him that there are innocent people here. Jfrey makes it clear, don't drag civilians into this mess. He promises he won't run away if they settle this somewhere else. The manager hesitates, his rage barely contained. But he knows the consequences of unleashing that kind of power in a crowded room. But the longer he waits, the angrier he gets, torn between his pride and common sense. Jfrey's completely composed attitude is just rubbing salt in the wound. That's when the branch master cuts in, his voice firm, that is enough. The sudden command leaves the manager absolutely stunned. The branch master agrees with Jfrey. He explains that if they start a brawl here, the Adventurers Association will be on their case in a heartbeat. The manager, still fuming, argues that Jfrey is mocking their guild and they can't just let him get away with it. But the branch master is unmoved, saying they're wasting their time. He warns the manager, do not make me repeat myself. Without another word, he turns and walks away, telling the manager to follow. The manager, defeated, stutters out a reply and trails after him. Okay, let's pause. A few moments later, Jfrey is sitting alone in the waiting area. He's thinking about what a pain this auction turned out to be. Still, he got the High Elf's tier, which was the whole point. He's annoyed the Winged Snake Guild snatched up the Ice Chimera's fang and the ancient red clay. But he's confident he'll find a way to get his hands on them soon. The one that really stings, though, is losing the King Long Wine. He knows he can still get it from the 5th continent, but that means a super annoying quest. If he just won it today, crafting his next hidden equipment would have been so much faster. He lets out a frustrated sigh, resigning himself to chasing after the Winged Snake Guild yet again. but his thoughts are suddenly cut short by an unfamiliar voice. A woman's voice calls him peculiar, startling him as he turns to see an adventurer. She's looking at him with total fascination, pointing at the halo above his head. She notes she's never seen anything like it, while Jfrey silently wonders who she is. The woman apologizes for being so blunt, but keeps pressing him for answers. She asks what his deal is with the Winged Snake Guild and whether he's met their branch master, but Jfrey just flips the question right back at her. "And who's this branch master?" he asks. She explains it was the long-haired man who was standing with the manager earlier. He's the Winged Snake Guild's big boss. Their branch master for the entire second continent. The memory clicks for Jfrey. He admits he doesn't know the guy personally, but acknowledges he already settled things with the guild. Then he changes the subject, asking who she is. She introduces herself as an adventurer and says she's tailing the guild for now. And right on cue, a system notification pops up for Jfrey. Now here's where it gets interesting. Her name is Mira, sent by the Adventurers Association to investigate the Winged Snake Guild. Jfrey's mind races. Could she be one of the 8 Guardians? That's the title given to the 8 S-rank adventurers. They're officially recognized by the association, and these people have it all. Insane abilities, incredible honor, and massive wealth, making them the absolute elite. A wave of nostalgia hits Jfrey, reminding him of his time in the game. After completely clearing dungeons, he'd often take on the association's requests. Just to pass the time, snapping back to the present, he tells Mira something. The Winged Snake Guild members are already gone, and asks if she's okay not chasing them. Mira says she'll catch up to them later, but first she has one more question. She asks him straight up where he got the halo floating above his head. The question catches Jfrey completely off guard. Does she really not know about hidden equipment? Then the reality of the situation hits him hard. Okay, you and I both know what this means. Hidden items are off the books, unregistered. If the association found out about he'd be in serious trouble. He panics. Trying to play dumb, he grabs his head and asks vaguely, "Are you talking about this halo?" A system notification pops up, stating that his unusual gear has piqued Mira's curiosity, even labeling her a gear geek. Jfrey is just confused. Another message appears, saying Mira finds his angel halo absolutely adorable. And now she wants one for herself. Unfazed, she just repeats her question. "So what is it?" When Jfrey hesitates, she reads the situation instantly. Figuring he doesn't want to explain, she tells him it's fine. She adds that she can just investigate it herself if she has to. Without waiting for an answer, she thanks him and walks away, leaving him laughing awkwardly. Jfrey can hardly believe it. One of the legendary 8 Guardians is that obsessed with gear, he figures Mira must be one of the most powerful members, based on her calm demeanor and sharp insight during their very brief chat. Meanwhile, Mira glances back at Jfrey as she walks off, still thinking. She has traveled all the way to the 7th continent and seen countless rare items. But she has never, ever seen anything quite like his angel halo. She wonders who Jfrey really is, and trust me, that's where we leave her. Because we find our hero next in the Moonlight Wasteland, an A-rank dungeon. He downs the level 80 giant goblin boss, and for his troubles he gets the Goblin Snatcher. It's an A-rank glove. Its main effect, he can totally immobilize an opponent and yoink one item right from their inventory. You and I both know how broken that is. He smiles, satisfied his level grinding is going smoothly. Originally his plan was to head to Grace Castle, the 2nd continent's S-rank dungeon, to get the Ice Chimera's Fang, but he changed his mind. He's going for a piece of hidden equipment first. And to get it, he needs to borrow some stuff from his targets, starting with the Kingon wine. This wine is essential for crafting his next hidden item, so he uses magic detection to track down the manager and the branch master. Right now, he's tailing them, just waiting for the perfect moment to make his move. But to his surprise, Mi is here too, and he figures she's been on their tail for a while. Mi finally spots him, wondering if he's also tracking the Winged Snake Guild. He's shocked when he sees the guild members step into a hidden passage. It's in the wall. Now pay attention, because this is where the real mission begins. Turns out it's the Winged Snake Guild's private biotope. Inside, the manager is nervously asking the branch master about this year's harvest. He knows his boss's mood could decide his fate. The branch master just says, "It looks like they can sell it for a better price this time." Relieved, the manager gets optimistic about their profits and promises to find more workers. But right then, their conversation gets cut short. Someone nearby casually asks if the manager's hobbies include growing flowers. The manager turns around to see Jfrey, greeting him with a cool smile. Both the manager and the branch master are stunned and demand to know how he got in. But Jfrey, totally unfazed, just stands there with that same calm smile. The manager loses it, shouting and asking if Jfrey's been following them. Jfrey just points out the flowers around them are moonlight azaleas. He mentions they're the main ingredient for illegal magic doping. He warns them it's a dangerous, forbidden practice that causes nasty side effects. We're talking hallucinations or, in the worst cases, death. He accuses them of doing something shady and demands to know what they're really up to. The manager stammers, trying to come up with an excuse, but the branch master just asks if Jfrey is a spy. Jfrey denies it and offers a deal instead. If the branch master hands over the Qinglong wine, he'll turn a blind eye. He calmly asks for a decision, but you and I both know it's not gonna be that simple. The manager explodes, calling Jfrey a foolish brat and unleashing his magic. He screams, asking Jfrey who the hell he thinks he is. And then in a flash, Jfrey appears right behind the manager, startling me who was watching. She was too far to hear, but she definitely saw that insane burst of speed. Grabbing the manager's shoulder, Jfrey says it's not a threat, just a negotiation. He even offers to pay for the wine, but the manager is still furious. He shouts that Jfrey's real target at the auction was the Qinglong wine all along. He declares they will never hand it over and pulls out a dagger. The manager mutters that Jfrey only has himself to blame for what's coming. As he lunges, Jfrey calmly mentions that if they won't cooperate, he has no choice but to report their little flower field to the Adventurers Association. Jfrey dodges the attack, whipping out his centipede weapon and aiming it right at the manager. He reminds the guy that he brought all of this on himself. With one swift strike to the neck, Jfrey knocks the manager out cold. And just like that, he collapses to the ground. Me, hiding nearby, can't even process it. Did she just see that? Jfrey took down the manager in a single blow. She's also thinking she has never seen a weapon quite like that before. Just then, the branch master walks up to Jfrey, calling him a stubborn fly. He seems amused by Jfrey's guts, picking a fight with outlaws who operate in the shadows. This is Salmon, the Wind Snake Guild's branch master for the Second Continent. And get this, he's a level 97 warrior. Drawing his sword, he asks Jfrey a simple question. Do you get what's about to happen to you? Adding that he's been holding back for way too long. Unfazed, Jfrey replies that he's been holding back too, and honestly, he's been here for too long. It's about time he blew off some serious steam. The nearby Myra is watching all this unfold. She's debating if she should jump in, but a part of her is holding back. She's just way too curious about Jfrey's weapon to interfere just yet. Here we go, Jfrey and Salmon face off, swords at the ready. Salmon lunges and Jfrey mirrors his move. They meet in the middle with a deafening clash of steel that echoes through the area. Jfrey knows it, Salmon's level is way higher than his own. They shove each other back with pure force before Salmon unleashes a flurry of attacks. A series of rapid slashes. Jfrey struggles to parry them all, completely overwhelmed by the speed. Watching intently, Me remembers that Jfrey is the new adventurer everyone was talking about. The one who shattered records during the association's baptism ritual. She admits he has incredible combat sense, but in terms of pure, raw strength. Salmon is on a whole different level, dominating the fight and forcing Jfrey onto the back foot. Every single blow from Salmon's sword sends him staggering back, but Jfrey somehow keeps his balance. Even Salmon has to acknowledge Jfrey's skill. He remarks that for a rookie, he's not half bad, but then he insists there's no way Jfrey can win. Mockingly, he asks if Jfrey thinks he's some kind of hero, fighting a noble battle to the very end. And I love this response. Jfrey calmly replies he has no interest in being a hero or dying a glorious death. He's just here chasing his own goals, and absolutely nothing will stop him. Not here, not now, furious Salmon just sneers at him. He calls Jfrey a pathetic weakling before launching another vicious assault with his sword. swinging again and again with monstrous force, driving Jfrey back with every single strike. Jfrey just grits his teeth, refusing to give up an inch of ground even as he struggles to hold on. But then Salmon starts to feel something strange, an unusual sensation during their clash. He can't quite put his finger on it, but something about Jfrey just feels completely off. He dismissed the idea of using his job skills, thinking it was overkill, but that's about to change. Because he suddenly notices something impossible. Both he and Myra are absolutely floored. Okay, you need to see this. Jfrey is blocking and dodging every single one of his attacks with his eyes shut. Salmon realizes it in an instant. Jfrey is reading his movements, memorizing his patterns. And he's doing it just by sensing his magic power. It's an insane ability, something Salmon has never witnessed. He wonders if it's some unique job skill, or maybe it's tied to Jfrey's gear. After all, Jfrey hasn't used a single item to boost his stats this entire fight. All the while Jfrey, eyes still closed, calmly deflects every one of Salmon's strikes. His sheer composure only makes Salmon angrier until finally, Jfrey pushes him back. With a smile, a brilliant light explodes from the angelic halo above his head. Mara shields her eyes from the dazzling glow. Jfrey realizes he just unlocked the third skill. The skill of Lucifer's halo, and guess what? He already knew the unlock condition. Maxing out the hidden parameter magic sensing all the way to level 252. This stat could only be raised by perfectly parrying enemy attacks in combat. And the experience gained was proportional to the strength of the opponent defeated. Thanks to his battle with the demon god on the first continent, Jfrey finally maxed it out. He knows it usually takes way more time to pull off a feat like this. But Salmon's incredible strength actually accelerated the whole process for him, making him feel, not gonna lie, incredibly lucky. His thoughts are cut short when Salmon's sword suddenly pierces his chest. Jfrey collapses, his eyes wide with shock. Salmon sneers, calling him a fool for losing focus right in the middle of a deadly fight. The branch master mockingly lectures him about overestimating his own strength, saying there's always someone better, but as he turns away he feels a chilling presence. Now watch closely. It's Jfrey. His voice is steady as he tells Salmon to save the big speech. Then he asks him who exactly is the one who's really better here. Salmon whips around, staring at him in absolute confusion. He struggles to understand what just happened. A job skill, some kind of special ability. Jfrey just smirks, teasingly asking if it isn't embarrassing to get so hyped up talking to yourself. Myra, watching the whole scene, is equally shocked by what she's seeing. And she starts to suspect there's something very, very strange about Jfrey. Salmon looks down, realizing the body he supposedly just killed has completely vanished. Even though he can still recall the sensation of his blade slicing right through Jfrey's form. Before he can even process what's happening, blood suddenly begins to pour from his own body. Looking down, he sees that he's the one who's been pierced by a sword. Panic sets in. How did Jfrey manage to do that without even moving an inch? His confusion turns to terror as knives appear from nowhere and impale him. Yeah, let that sink in. He lets out a scream of pure agony. Salmon writhes in pain, completely unable to comprehend what is happening to him. To Myra, however, it just looks like Salmon started howling uncontrollably. She's left wondering what kind of unseen force is tormenting him so badly. Jfrey, on the other hand, calmly retrieves his centipede weapon and returns it to his inventory. Smiling, he watches Salmon suffer, knowing it's all because of Lucifer's Halo's third skill, Phantom Playground. This insane ability causes vivid hallucinations in anyone who makes direct eye contact with the user. The only catch is a 72-hour cooldown, making it a powerful but rarely used trump card. Jfrey speaks up, mocking Salmon for lecturing him about the vastness of the world. As if Jfrey, of all people, didn't already know that. At that moment, Myra finally emerges from her hiding spot and approaches him. Jfrey turns to her and asks if she enjoyed tailing him all this time. And Myra realizes he knew she was following him the entire time. But she clarifies that she wasn't tailing him specifically. Her business was with Salmon. Jfrey acknowledges this, guessing she's on a mission from the Adventurers Association. He then suggests that reporting the guild was cultivating Moonlight alias should be enough for her mission. Turning away, he adds that he'll leave the cleanup to her, and that's how you make an exit. He wasn't involved in any of it, but just as he turns to leave, he stops. All right, you and I both know he didn't forget the loot. He opens his inventory and pulls something out. The Goblin Snatcher glove. He slips it on and approaches the unconscious manager. He apologizes in advance, saying he just needs to borrow something. With one touch, he activates the glove's effect, snagging the Qinglong wine, a legendary S-rank item. Satisfied, he knows this wine is the key to making the second demon god battle way easier. Smiling to himself, he whispers a quick message to his mother. He promises her she just has to wait a little bit longer, but when he turns back, Myra is glaring at him full of suspicion. Jfrey visibly flinches. Stuttering, he asks her if she has a problem, insisting that everything he just did was totally above board. Myra, still watching him like a hawk, admits that she has no complaints for now. Relieved, Jfrey starts walking away again, telling her he's for real this time. She just stands there silently, watching him vanish into the distance. Her attention then shifts back to Salmon, who's still screaming in pure agony. Thinking back on the fight, she realizes something. There was no proof of Jfrey using items. No conventional job skills either, and that's when Myra pieces it together just like we are. The insane power he just showed off, it has to be coming from his equipment. Myra considers that if his gear is forbidden by the association, this gets way more complicated. But she's almost certain his equipment isn't on any ban list she knows of. One thing was clear though, Jfrey was no ordinary adventurer. A moment later, Jfrey arrives at the legendary Tobar's workshop on the second continent. He's finally made it, he's here. He glances down at the Qinglong wine and the wood in his hands. It's time. Time to craft the next hidden piece of his ultimate equipment set. Suddenly, the shop door flies open. An angry man storms out, screaming at the workshop's owner. He furiously calls Tobar a stone-headed geezer before storming off down the street. Jfrey watches the whole scene go down. He gets the guy's frustration, but he knows the deal. Without the perfect gift, Tobar won't give anyone the time of day. Okay, let's see how this goes. Jfrey enters the shop, politely excusing himself, only to be met with a flying screw and a hammer. But he was ready for Tobar's temper, easily blocking the projectiles with the wood he's holding. The legendary blacksmith Tobar yells at him, calling him a snot-nosed brat. He tells him to stop bothering him and to get out of his workshop. Tobar angrily insists he has no equipment for him, but Jfrey ignores the yelling. He just thinks to himself that old man Tobar hasn't changed one bit. Tobar gets right in his face, screaming about him barging in and tries to shove him out. But Jfrey doesn't budge an inch. He just addresses him as Mr. Tobar, asking him to listen. That just makes him angrier. He yells at him not to use his name so casually and demands he leave. In response, Jfrey reveals the Qinglong wine, holding it up for him to see. He casually mentions it's a shame to bring such an amazing drink, only to be turned away. And you can guess what happens next. Tobar's entire demeanor instantly flips, his eyes go wide. He starts jumping up and down, trying to snatch the bottle, demanding to know how a punk like him got it. Tobar screams at him to leave the wine and get the hell out of his shop. Jfrey just chuckles to himself. The old man is so predictable. Desperate, Tobar starts kicking at him, still yelling for the wine, but Jfrey holds it up high. Just out of reach, Jfrey then adds that he also brought along a scorching, just a simple rank B rock. Tobar freezes in complete surprise. Moments later, they're seated. Across from each other, sharing a drink, Jfrey pours Tobar a glass of Qinglong wine. And just like that, the blacksmith's eyes fill with tears, remembering his past. His late wife had loved this exact wine, especially when it was heated by a scorching rock. Jfrey acts all surprised, pretending this is brand new information. But truth is, Tobar had told him this same sad story countless times before. Pouring another drink, Jfrey thinks to himself, mission accomplished. He's triggered it. Now pay attention, this is where the big brain play comes in. Just giving him the wine gets you an S-rank item, good but not the best. By bringing both the wine and the scorching rock, he can get a legendary unknown item. As Tobar cries his heart out, lamenting he wasn't a good enough husband, Jfrey just hands him a cloth to dry his tears, knowing full well what's happening. Yeah, this was definitely going to be a very, very long night. Jfrey wakes up to the sound of a hammer striking metal the next morning. A smiling Tobar approaches, thanking him for the incredible wine and gesture. He points to a newly finished item and proudly tells him to take it. Jfrey grins, thanking the legendary blacksmith, saying it's exactly what he expected. And just like that, he receives his third hidden piece of equipment. Aiden's leg, and trust me, that unknown rank means its power is off the charts. The stats are insane: speed at 120, with a durability of 5,000. Skill 1, free walking, lets him move freely no matter the terrain. Skill 2 is Tempest Teleportation, a short-range warp ability. Usable up to 5 times a day in a 100-meter radius. As for Skill 3, that's still unknown. It'll unlock once he meets the right conditions. For now, his business with Tobar is done. Thrilled with his new gear, he looks toward his next big challenge. He's finally ready. He declares to himself it's time to face the next hurdle. The second continent's S-rank dungeon, Grace Castle, but as Jfrey turns to leave, Tobar throws something at him, calling it a parting gift. Looking at it, the system calls it non-alcoholic hot sake, a ranked item. The description says drinking it will grant a supreme warmth state. Tobar asks if he's heading to that S-rank dungeon, but Jfrey just thanks him for the drink. The blacksmith warns him to be careful. The ice demon god is a cunning monster. With a final wave, Jfrey says his goodbyes and heads out. A short while later, he arrives at the entrance gate of the S-rank dungeon, the Ice Castle. He's walking through the snow without any warm clothes, and the bitter cold hits hard. Then he remembers Tobar's gift, pulling out the non-alcoholic hot sake. He drinks it down. Almost instantly, a powerful warmth spreads through his body. A system notification pops up. The supreme warmth state has been activated. Lasting for 100 minutes, he breathes a sigh of relief. The cold is no longer a problem. As he gets closer, a few guys at the gate notice him immediately. One of them points out how thin his clothes are, wondering how he's even alive. His friend scoffs, saying Jfrey must be underestimating how brutal these mountains are. The guy then points to the halo floating over Jfrey's head. "What is that thing?" he asks, totally weirded out by the sight of it. Whispering to each other, they decide he must be crazy. Little do they know, right? Annoyed by their chatter, Jfrey tells the system to just go silent. A pop-up immediately reminds him about the dungeon's strict time limit. Adventurers can only stay inside this S-rank dungeon for 2 hours. Go over that and you're force teleported out, losing half your loot and money. It's a brutal penalty, and Jfrey remembers just how much he struggled with it. In the game's early days, he got hit with that penalty constantly. Not this time. He pushes forward deeper into the dungeon. He immediately senses it, a massive concentration of magic from the demon god's castle. Spotting a few strong players already ahead, he realizes the race is on. He needs to get to that chamber and claim the ice chimera Fang first. Meanwhile, those two guys from the gate are having a much rougher time. They're struggling up the mountain, fighting against the brutal conditions. The man in the green hat complains that it's almost impossible to keep moving. His buddy in the brown hat agrees, saying at this pace they're going to time out. And suddenly a massive creature blocks their path. It's a Krull level 82. It roars, ready to attack, and the brown-hatted man starts to panic. He shouts about how the monsters just keep on spawning. At this rate, he'll never even make it to the demon god's castle. His friend just stares silent. Completely frozen in shock, the other guy yells, "Why aren't you casting any support magic?" But before he can even answer, they both lock up in disbelief. Stick with me here because Jfrey is just casually walking on air, totally ignoring the Krulls. He's enjoying this surreal feeling, marveling at how his free walk skill works. It's the first skill from Aiden's leg, and it basically lets him tell gravity to get lost. His chill moment is cut short when two Krulls lunge right at him. Without hesitation, he slices them both apart with one swift, clean motion. He barely gives them a second thought as he presses on. He's in a rush. The two adventurers and even the monsters they were fighting are just stunned. The man in the brown hat points, realizing it's the same guy from the gate. His friend agrees, speculating that the airwalking must be because of his halo. They both start shaking, whispering to each other in absolute terror. They think Jfrey might be a floating spirit, some kind of ghostly player from an MMO. They even start muttering prayers for the dead Krulls he just one-shotted. Yeah, they're treating the slain monsters with total reverence. Jfrey overhears them. And he warns them, say that again and I'll smash your player interface. Ignoring them, he finally arrives at the castle of the demon god, Ormud. 5 minutes flat, he's satisfied with his pace, but that relief is short-lived. He sees me standing near the gate. He recognizes her instantly as one of the 8 protectors. And I know what you're thinking, a player this strong here, this is bad news. He figures she must be after some hidden equipment, but what is someone of her caliber doing here? She should have cleared a place like the ice castle a long time ago. Mi examines the gate's intricate patterns, deep in thought, following some kind of rumor. A rumor about someone supposedly hiding inside the castle, though she doubts it's real. Still, she considers the possibility that maybe, just maybe, it's true. She summons a massive surge of energy and completely shatters the gate with ease. Jfrey shields his face from the blast, absolutely stunned by her sheer power as she enters. Trust me, she absolutely earned her title as one of the 8 protectors of the shattered gate. The damage left a perfect opening for him to bypass the gate's usual defenses. But before he could move, he sensed several Crinquilus getting close and annoyed activated Gale. Transfer the second skill of Aiden's leg. Just as the monsters lunged, he simply vanished, reappearing inside the 9th floor's extreme ice room hallway. Man, that skill was a lifesaver, cutting down his travel time by a ton. Straight ahead was the mid-boss's room, the final hurdle before the demon god's chamber. Opening the door, he braces himself for the fight. With Aiden's leg, he figures this run might just set a brand new record. But over on the annex's 7th floor, let's just say things are taking a much darker turn. One of the men turns to his master, Garuda, begging to know why this is all happening. He reminds his leader of the hell they went through just to get here. But Garuda, the guild master of the Wind Sword Guild, just stands there furious. The system shows his current clear time. 1 hour and 26 minutes. He furiously demands to know what's going on. He blames his own men for being so damn slow. In a blind rage, Garuda swings his sword, screaming at them for the delay. And without a second thought, he lops off one of their heads, adding 2 hours and 42 minutes to his timer. He then sneers, asking how they plan to pay him back if his treasure and money get cut in half because they were incompetent. The remaining men apologize, shaking, but Garuda just dismisses their pathetic words. He declares that a life without value is a crime and that they should just die. To gain any worth, they must atone. Raising his sword, Garuda executes 2 more. His clear time jumps to 4 hours and 21 minutes. His assistant, standing nearby, can only shut his eyes in utter despair. Panic explodes through the survivors. Some try to run for it, while others just drop and beg for their lives. But Garuda is relentless, slaughtering every last member. His time limit hits 8 hours and 7 minutes. He just scoffs that their lives were barely worth a few hours. Turning to his assistant, Garuda demands to know if this is everyone he brought. He screams that it's nowhere near enough to satisfy him. His assistant stutters in pure terror, apologizing over and over again, trying to explain. They'd been working hard to gather more people, but it was taking some time. Garuda coldly asks if he's ready to die right now. The terrified man bolts. He promises to find more people fast. As he runs, he can only wonder. Just how many lives does Garuda plan on taking? Is he planning to camp here for months? He's grimly amazed at how killing other adventurers lets them steal their remaining clear time. Garuda watches the man run, his gaze like ice. His thoughts turn to Salmon, an ally who got captured by that woman from the 8 protectors. He knows his guild is in deep trouble, with the association now targeting his top officers. Despite all that, he thinks their methods are still way too old-fashioned. The annex with its time limit rules is the perfect hideout, even if enemies find them. Meanwhile, back in the 9th floor's main building, Jfrey is in his element. He hovers in midair, taking on monsters. His aerial combat gives him a huge edge. He effortlessly slashes through them one by one before they can even touch him. He loves this feeling of total freedom, marveling at the power of Aiden's leg. Trust me, this is where the real game begins for our boy Jfrey. He zeroes in on that enormous magical energy he had been sensing. It's coming from the 10th floor, right where the second demon god is. At the same time, he feels another, more dangerous power coming from the annex. He knows he needs to be careful, but the demon god is priority 1. After wiping out a swarm of monsters in the room, he turns his attention to the next door expecting the mid-boss, and as it opens, Myra walks in. Startled, Jfrey stays suspended upside down in the air, completely hidden from view. Now watch this, he senses her incredible power and just sighs in relief. He almost got caught, but why is Myra all the way up here anyway? Myra looks around, thinking the empty area is more than a little suspicious. Then two level 92 snow golems appear right behind her. She's surprised for a second. It's pretty unusual for a mid-boss to look like this. Myra takes a deep breath, summoning her personal wind spirit to her side. From his hiding spot, Jfrey is absolutely floored. That's a high-level summoner skill. She aims her wind power at the golems, almost apologizing as she speaks. I don't have time to deal with you. Then she unleashes a tornado around the mid-boss. As the wind swirls violently, she tightens her grip and transforms the attack. The tornado becomes pure electric wind, shattering both golems into nothing. And yeah, I know Jfrey can't believe it either. Myra just one-shot the mid-boss. A single strike took down two powerful enemies. The gap in their power is massive. Myra faces the door ahead, knowing exactly what defeating them means. The stairs leading directly to the demon god's chamber have now been revealed. But instead of heading up, she turns around to search the area more thoroughly. She mutters about checking the annex next. She's definitely looking for someone. Jfrey is relieved she's not after the demon god and stays perfectly hidden. But then she stops dead, sensing a presence, and scans the room again. Jfrey disappears just in time, leaving her to chalk it up to her imagination. Focusing back on her mission, she finally leaves the 10th floor chamber. Jfrey arrives at the demon god Ormud's throne room and pushes the door open. He finds Ormud sitting there, surrounded by adventurers impaled on sharp blocks of ice. Jfrey greets him casually, saying it's been quite a while since they last met. He addresses the being by his title, the second demon god Ormud. A level 100 entity with the crown of death trait that weakens adventurers. Reducing all their abilities in the chamber by 20%, Ormud just chuckles. He calls him a lost animal, and you and I both know he's about to eat those words.
That aren't quite right, so after that, when everything is ready, inserting the right images and syncing the audio together, then we proceed to export the video for publishing. So this is the process that I create a complete video. Therefore, I really hope that the YouTube support team reconsiders their decision. Check if there are any mistakes anywhere to help us return to the program earning money from YouTube. I sincerely thank you.